Let's take a look at the differences and similarities among concrete classes, abstract classes, and interfaces. Concrete classes and abstract classes are both classes. That means that they have an is-a relationship between the base class and the derived class. The main difference between an abstract class and a concrete class is that an abstract class could never be instantiated. Remember that abstract classes are really unfinished. Abstract classes are really built for one main purpose: to be inherited, to be the base class for a derived class. Both abstract classes and interfaces exist to be derived or implemented. The difference is interfaces have no implementation. They have no code at all, where abstract classes are partially completed. An interface can't change its public interface. Once it's been released or published or it's publicly been used, if an interface is in need of enhancements, a new interface should probably be created. You don't want to be modifying an interface once it's been released to the public. If versioning is an issue, if you have an interface and you find yourself needing to modify the method signatures and the like, you're probably going to want to consider an abstract class instead. Let's take a look at the differences between the three types. In this table, you can see in these first two columns, this is what the type is made up of. Does it contain a public interface? Meaning, does it contain a list of properties, methods, and events? And that's yes for all three types, of course. The next column is, does it contain code or implementation? And you can see that a class definitely contains code, and an interface contains no code at all. An interface can't contain implementation. But you can see an abstract class is kind of a hybrid. It's a cross between a class, meaning a concrete class, and an interface. It has some implementation, and other methods don't have any implementation at all. So an abstract class is really just a concrete class that just hasn't been completed yet. It's missing some code. Now we'll take a look at the second component here, and that is, what is the capability of the class, abstract class, and interface? The only one that is able to instantiate is a concrete class. Concrete classes are classes where you can instantiate from them. You can create objects. You can't create objects from an abstract class. Abstract class is an incomplete class. And of course, you can't instantiate from an interface because interfaces have no code. They have no implementation. They only have a set of signatures or a set of services. In the last column, you'll see the capability of a concrete class, abstract class, and interface, and how it relates to what a class can use it for. A class can inherit a concrete class, and a class can also inherit from an abstract class. Remember that that's really what abstract classes generally are meant for, is inheritance. They are used as base classes for derived classes. It's just that they're not complete yet. So the class that derives the abstract class must fill in some of the implementation. Notice that you can only inherit from a single class. Technically, C# only supports single inheritance. That's true of a lot of other OOP languages, including Java and VB.NET. Notice, however, that both of them say you must inherit one class, and that's true. If you create a class and you have not explicitly inherited from any other class, you are still inheriting. Everyone inherits from system.object. So if you build a customer class and you have not explicitly inherited any class, or derived any class, you're deriving from system.object. Implementation, as far as interfaces go, you can only implement an interface, meaning that once you implement an interface, you are required to fill in all the gaps, to complete all the methods, to write code inside those signatures. Notice interfaces, you can actually implement 0 or more interfaces. Interfaces are not required to implement, as classes are required. You have to have one class to inherit from. You don't have to implement any interfaces at all. But you could have multiple interfaces that you implement. Keep in mind that a class can inherit one class and also implement 0 or more interfaces. The main purpose of an interface is to provide a list of services or functionality for a class. An interface has no implementation. It just has a list of public members. Keep in mind that the main purpose of an abstract class is for inheritance. An abstract class's job is really to be a base class for any derived class. And lastly, what makes a concrete class unique is its ability to instantiate. I can create objects from a concrete class.